Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Business of Boutique Fitness podcast. I'm your host today, Caroline, team captain of the Grow Your Studio Profitably program, also a studio owner myself, and I'm excited to be joined by Rachel today.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm a coach and consultant with Studio Grow. Came from fitness franchising. I've owned my own wellness place for about 20 years, and I'm really excited for this topic today.
Me too. We are talking about what other studio owners are doing that you are not doing.
Yes.
A great one.
It was a fun topic. We just kind of rapid fired ideas. So these are probably like in no particular order, but just from seeing my experience, your experience, our clients' experience, we just made a collection of what we think kind of like our hit list is.
There's so much, and I feel like we've made that list, and then we're going to start talking, and it's like also this, and what about this?
Yes, 100%.
So let's start. Let's say, like, what are top studio owners actually doing right now?
So, okay, I think there's something around to start staffing and team meeting quality, cadence, and who's actually leading the meeting. I know it sounds weird. It sounds like the most like nitty gritty detail, no, totally. But especially when you have instructors or staff that are contractors, sometimes you're limited by what you can and can't do. You have to pay them to be there. And so it's around these structures of setting up quality meetings and types of things you might cover. How often, I don't have, my stuff's all virtual, but how often like do you run your team meetings in your studio?
Yeah, we do once a month, and we require that you attend 2 times per quarter because it's hard to get everyone in the same place. And that's like the number one thing I hear from studio owners. But we also do a weekly check-in. So just like a little video that we'll make that is like, hey, here's the things that are going on. Here's what you need to know. Here's what I want you announcing in the studio. Little shout outs, little praise, keep everyone like engaged. And then we put up a little announcement board at the studio. So I think what becomes key is like quality. You touched on it. Not having a meeting just to have a meeting.
Yes.
Making sure there's purpose behind it and that people are excited to be there, engage, and understand, like, again, their role in the studio and what role they play towards movement forward.
Yeah, and I love that you set the expectation up front. I think sometimes if people hadn't been doing meetings regularly and then try to initiate it, it's really hard to kind of get your arms around everybody and be like, hey, this is what is required, expected, here's what to expect out of the meeting, what we'll cover, why we're covering it. And then I love the weekly check-ins too, because sometimes your staff is coming and going, you don't really get a chance to like let them know like what is actually happening this week or coming up. So I think that's so the weekly is more of like here's what's happening now. And then the quarterlies, do you go through like more broad data, financials?
Yeah. And that kind of ties into another thing that I think top studio owners are doing and driving the business out of strategy. So ideally you as the owner, you have someone who is like living in the spreadsheets, knows the numbers, knows the metrics. And I think something that is so key, but something that is missed a lot is communicating those goals to the team, because I can tell you like we need to sell memberships right now, but why? Or like what to how many? Why? Like when? What is the context of this? Yes. And that's where I see it missed. Like we have to inform people of what we're trying to do, why we're going there, how your role is important. And I think that really ties back into the meeting structure. And what I have found is like those weekly touch bases take maybe 30 minutes for us to put together. But if you think of like coming into a meeting where I'm going over monthly goals, quarterly goals, here's all the things, like that is so much information to digest. And I might not remember it all, but I can remember like what was said in a 5-minute video.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh, okay. And so even just sending videos too.
Yeah. We do it in Slack. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's so good for a busy owner too.
Super easy. Yes, I know. Yeah. It doesn't have to be like a massive use of your time. And I think that's the big misconception with owners is they're like, do you see how much I'm doing right now? Like where are we putting in meetings? And so I think again, like going in with a plan, having those little touch bases and really just making yourself available. Like if there is a question or people want to talk to you about this, that open door is so helpful.
Oh, that's so good. I was just thinking, I was laughing in my head for a minute because I was working at a gym for maybe like 3 years. And then suddenly sales got more urgent than normal. Mm-hmm. And it was just like selling, all these new goals, kind of bringing in people to like shadow and like all this kind of like weird stuff. but no one ever explained the why. So I was like, oh my gosh, we're in trouble. I'm going to lose my job. The gym's going to close. So I told myself this whole story. And it turns out we were just driving so we could literally offer more sessions and hire more people. Like that was the point, is like we were trying to do like a 3-month push to launch this program in the fall. But no one ever stopped to tell me the why. So meanwhile, I was
You're
looking
like
for
operating
a
out of
new
fear.
job.
You're like, ah.
I was like, we're closing, like in my head.
Yeah.
So I think it's so important to really like tell people like why the
Yeah.
what, why, and how.
Well, and that's so important too, because like an employee operating out of fear is different than them being like, I am so excited about this thing that's coming up. And, in my context, we're opening a new studio. I could not be more excited about it. And like every time I meet with my team, I'm like, this thing happened. We got this. Look at this. And they're so excited. And at the same time, I am like, and we need to sell a lot of memberships, guys. So like, let's go. But there's this excitement and they can feel that vision and they're like, yes. And that is such a different place to sell from than like, I might not be here next week. Maybe not see you next Wednesday at my 6 a.m.
Yes. Okay. That's so important. Like I think, open, transparent, professional boundaries, but I think that just, it's comforting. It helps people helps people listen more to like, and really understand what's going on and why.
Yeah, totally.
Well, good.
And I think also like something that really just spirals off of this is top studios have a sales rhythm. And I think so many clients come in and they're like, we need more leads, we need more memberships, and then we'll talk about sales. And they're like, no, like that's pushy and inauthentic. And it doesn't need to be. And if we have a clear rhythm of like, this is what we do every day, and this is when we check in on it once a week, and this is when we check in on once a month, and this is why, again, you're doing this, suddenly we have a more engaged team.
Yes, there's something about, I feel like this has always been true, but the majority of kind of fitness instructors, professionals, trainers, they get it. It's very, sales is challenging, or it feels challenging because we love what we do. We want it to be accessible and everyone to be able to engage. And so sometimes asking for the sale or money is like this really hard thing. And that's why we put processes, scripting. And when I say scripting too, it's a guide for a conversation. It's making sure there is some data questions we really need to ask them, like medical history, injury, things like that. But making sure that they feel comfortable in that. And I believe everyone should be in the entire facility should be trained in sales. 100%. At the very least, make a connection, build a relationship. We ran a sales challenge once with my team. It was longer than it should have been. It was like a 60-day. It might have been tied to the same thing when I thought I was going to be fired. It might be that same time period. But the whole staff, everybody in group fitness, trainers, the cleaning people, the Zumba instructors, everybody was involved. And if we hit a goal together, we got XYZ. And when I tell you, I got a referral and closed a new client from our cleaning person because she had been informed. We invited her to classes. Like, she saw the flyers in the locker room. And I was like, this is what it is. This is what you do.
Well, it's like everyone has to be involved.
Yes.
And it can't just, I feel like I say this so often in teacher training. It's like, it's about the class you teach, but it's so much more than the class you teach. It's how you interact with people. It's how they feel when they walk in the door. It's how they feel when they're leaving or they're interacting with that cleaning person. Like, all of those little touch points go into making the sale. And so that holistic experience, that memorable experience is like really what's going to nurture your sales process.
Yeah. Yeah. And that experience is kind of on our top whatever list we have. How many?
It is.
Who even knows how many's on our list too? But
yeah. I think really like dialing into your experience and also tying this back to your mission, vision, and values, which, like, if you haven't refreshed that or looked at it or even don't have it, a great place to start. But really operating from that space of like, why did I start this? Who are our people? How do they want to be talked to? Like, what do they want out of this experience? And letting that inform your client journey, your interactions, the way that teachers cue, the way that you like follow up with people. It all comes together.
Yeah. Because I think that the experience in studio, and then even thinking about the person in front of you more holistically too, like, what can we offer? What can we add on? I'm always thinking, how can we enhance this experience? How can we make it better? How can we serve people better, or even reach more people through workshop. I as a kind of a core value of mine, education is important. I just love to info dump.
Love
on
that.
people.
Yeah.
I
But
love
it's like,
to
it's so
info dump.
authentic because you're excited about it. And you like, want people to know it.
Yeah, and it's free. Like, it's free. There's no, it doesn't cost me anything. Like, it's to just share information, have them feel really educated, and then they feel more empowered to make decisions, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's for their own health inside your studio, or even like attending other types of things that you offer too.
Yeah. Well, and I think the way you just framed it is like, I'm looking to enhance a client's experience is such a helpful mindset shift from like upsell. Because yes, we do want a strong client value and we want them using all of these aspects of our studio, and that can feel weird and salesy and like, ugh. But if it's just, I think you genuinely would benefit from taking 3 classes a week and hitting the sauna and using this piece of our studio. Like, I'm enhancing their experience because I know them and I know what they want out of this.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah. Well, I think one more thing that really helps differentiate those top studio owners is protecting your time. Like, I think we alluded to this in the meeting where like owners will be like, meeting time, like what?
Yes.
But having that time on your calendar where whatever your goals are for scaling, if it's getting back more time or opening more studios, you need time to truly work on the business. And I feel like this is like step 1 of what we do with clients coming into the Grow Your Studio Profitably program is like 2 hours on your calendar. You will not be disturbed. Maybe you are working at like a coffee shop or somewhere that is different and no staff member is going to come in and be like, there's a fire. I need help. Help me. It is so important.
Yeah, the time blocking, time audit, because I think sometimes I do this myself where I'm like, I don't have any time. But if I really dissect my calendar, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I actually do have time. I'm just not being efficient. And there's so many tools, like project planning, Trello, even Slack,
Trello.
And all this stuff integrates with each other too. So you can really like plan out projects, assign tasks, communicate about the project, whether it's with you or, staff members, but really like making sure that you have enough time to work on the business and lift yourself up out of the weeds so you can have some vision too. Or even, again, we've talked about this, creating time. Attend one of your own class, like go to use your own services. You can do this. Just block off a time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like also all of us have this like running 1,000-item to-do list in our heads. And when you are not time blocking or organized with your tasks and the management of them, you can often sit down and be like, okay, I have 2 hours. I'm just going to sit here and think about which of the 1,000 items I need to do in this 2 hours, and nothing actually gets done. But if I take that like 15, 30 minutes at the start of the week and detail it out, suddenly I'm just going to breeze through the to-do list.
Yeah. What do you think? Like, I always think some of this requires, some mindset shifts, right? To create change. Matt and I just talked about this in another episode about kind of this change management process. Starts with you.
It does starts
with you, the owner. What would they need to shift, change? How can they kind of get into this mindset of change?
Yeah, I think this is really where like strategy in the business and understanding what exactly is happening is so key. And so I think something that we see so many people come in with is, I just need more clients. I need more leads. I need more people in the door. And really what I often start looking at is like retention. How are your current members? Because it's a lot easier to keep a member than it is to get a new one. And often those members that we have, if we nurture them correctly and give them this beautiful experience, are going to bring us our highest quality leads just naturally. And so I think that's like a great place to start. And I think so many of us focus so heavily on getting the lead to the intro package, getting the intro package to the conversion, and then they buy the membership and we're like, amazing, done, did it.
I'm exhausted.
It's like, wait, but what about the other stuff?
Yeah, I think, I think retention, attrition kind of sneaks up on you because that's exactly right. We're so focused on getting people in the door that we're like, ooh, what's happening on the bed? Like, how many people are even leaving a month? And like, why is that happening? Are we talking to people on their way out? Like, because that's that's a risk that I think like you can lose sight of unless you regularly track too.
And that's like regularly tracking. I find so many CRMs, there isn't necessarily a very easy report to pull that shows cancellation. And so if we're tracking that and also tracking the reason why, so we can see like, wow, everyone's moving, or everyone has this health issue, or like whatever it is, we can kind of start to create, whether it's an additional service or an additional touch point or a process to save those members. I think that can be a really strong strategy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now, also, I think something that we see and we've certainly dealt with ourselves is that like, I just have to do it all. Like no one can do it like me. What is the mindset shift that I might want to take there?
Oh my gosh. I always think, what is your intention with growing your staff, turning them into leaders? We know we've heard it, like no one cares about your business as much as you do. And that's okay. That's okay. They don't have to. So I always think looking at staff, having a great onboarding plan, 30, 60, 90 days, do some goal setting. Yeah. Ask them like, hey, where do you see yourself in a year from now at this? Do you want to be a lead instructor, a manager, front desk, sales? Do you want to be an owner eventually? Like, how can I nurture that path? So kind of look around you. Who do you have who can help leverage, take things off your plate? You and I love a virtual assistant. Love it. Yes. We love it. It's an easy, relatively low cost way for you to get support. Really, honestly, in any area you might need, a VA exists. Yes. It really does. We have experts in CRMs, we have experts in marketing, we even have people that are sales experts. They'll do follow-up calls, they'll do cold calling. Yeah. So I would really think like, okay, where am I spending the most time? Where do I want to actually, like, maybe you actually want to teach more. Yeah. And so you need some of this admin stuff off your plate to teach more. So kind of look through, where am I spending your time? Where do I want to spend my time? And being okay with delegating and getting some of that stuff off your plate so you can focus on what you really want to focus on.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And I see like a pretty even mix of those owners that are like, I just want to teach. I just want to be in the community and be with my people. And that's what I'm really good at. And so it's like, great, let's get you some admin support. And then there are other people like myself who it's like, I just want to do the spreadsheets. I want to run the numbers, give me some formulas, and let's get some great teachers. But I think like either side of that, implementing a really strong onboarding system, having these touch points, these one-on-ones, these meetings where you can really communicate like, hey, I see you doing this thing and this is so awesome and I'm excited about where this could take you. That's going to get you those employees that like are closer to your standpoint on being so excited about this studio. And I think we often focus so much on client experience and client journey and not enough on employer brand and the culture that we're presenting. And like, our employees should be our ambassadors that are like, hey, this place is awesome to work. I would love to have you work with me. Like, let's grow the team that way.
Yes. And I think you can always, at least for me, I can always feel that when I walk into a new place. Like you can almost feel immediately if the staff is enjoying their time here just because of how they welcome people in, even the energy that they bring to the class. Like I've seen what a miserable and so who doesn't want to be there or is being underpaid or whatever it is, and you can just feel it in their teachings.
That's not where I want to be a member.
Right. Exactly. And I don't want them on my staff either.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah. And then I also think what we see, like, as you listen to this, as you work with us, maybe we're going to ask you to implement a lot of new processes and try some things out. And I think there's always that inherent, like, what if it doesn't work? Where do we go with that? How do we manage that?
I always, and I've actually learned this a lot from a marketing team, is like, don't be afraid to experiment. Yeah. It's your business. Let things run for a while, see how it works, see how it feels. Is it smooth? Maybe it just needs like an iteration, like an edit of the process, not to like throw this whole thing out. Yeah. So again, kind of like baby steps, looking at what's happening now, if we need to make little changes, or honestly being really real, like, gosh, this just isn't working. How do we pivot?
Yeah. And I think that's also where tracking things, like everything comes into play, because it's really hard to make really informed and strategic decisions if I don't know what's working and what's not working. Like, I cannot run the business on vibes as much as we would all love to. But like, if we think of the client journey as an example, the client journey can be this really fun puzzle if we're tracking everything. And it's like, okay, every quarter we're going to look at it. And man, touch point 3 on the pre-purchase journey, everyone is unsubscribing. Let's edit that. Let's change it. Or like, we're seeing that we're getting a lot of cancellations and it's due to members not using the studio. Let's implement some kind of at-risk process to catch them before it's been 4 months and they haven't taken a single class.
Oh my gosh, tracking I'm not like Caroline. I don't love spreadsheets. I do like to I lean towards vibes, but I can have a VA. But I will say this, I came to a point where I didn't have a choice anymore. It was like, okay, if I actually want to grow, I'm going to have to like buckle down and really track every little thing. Again, hours, time, intro, like lead tracking is a huge pain point for a lot of our clients. Again, it's the CRMs are, partly to blame, but man, if you don't know who's coming in your door, when, why, how they found you, did they buy, that's your business. That's how we're driving your business forward. So get into the habit of tracking processes. We've talked about this too. Caroline does a great job. Like, she literally has processed out everything to ever happen. So if God forbid she wants to take a day off, someone could have a playbook and a checklist to know what to do, when to do it, how to do it without her even there. So like, really get it, even if it's you love vibes, like get process driven, get data driven, and really dig in your heels and make sure that your staff is all on board and can help you keep track of that stuff too, because it's a lot to manage.
Yeah. And I know tracking can be so layered and bring up so many things, especially when we start looking at the financials of a business. And there's that fear that I think a lot of us have of like, what if this number says this and that means I'm a bad business owner and I'm doing it all wrong? And like, I always like to reframe it's a roadmap, right? There are going to be areas for growth. And that's true in any business, no matter how great you're doing. And we will uncover those. But also when we're tracking things, we're going to see the things that are going really exceptionally well that we oftentimes don't know are going well if we're not tracking them, because there's so much happening in the day-to-day that it's just really easy to miss that.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great point. Because I always if you see these kind of like positive markers, I get really curious about those, because I'm like, oh, why is everyone attending this 5 a.m. at Monday? What's an instructor doing? What class type is it? Is it the duration? Like, there's just so many things that you can really not just celebrate, but then push even more of what's going well too.
Yeah. And now this mindset shift is kind of a tough one, but what about the owner who's like, meh, we're doing fine. Like, we don't need to implement this thing or that. And maybe they do have growth goals, but it's like, I like this process. Where do we take them?
That's always, I feel like that one comes from maybe a unconscious mindset about like potential, or even them being clear on their goals. Like, okay, yes, we're doing great, but like, what actually is your long-term goal? Do you want to sell? Do you want to franchise? Do you want to be a silent investor? So like, really getting aligned on, yes, we're doing fine, but does that, kind of neutral feeling align with your long-term goals? And if it is, okay.
Yeah.
And if not, then, then we need to like get re-energized to do the work.
Yeah. And I think the term like scale is thrown around in business so often and I think a lot of us go to like, okay, more studios or like selling or whatever, but scale can be very personal and can be like, I want to take Fridays off. I want to have a 3-day weekend. I want to be able to travel for the summer, and being able to track things, to implement things, to have those processes lined out can allow you to buy that time back and have more of a work-life balance. And that can be scaling.
Oh, I love that. I have a new client, and her end goal is to be able to get in a position up between operations and revenue where if she wants, she can take off. Her passion is travel. Yeah. And so she doesn't, as much as she loves to teach, she doesn't want to have to be in the studio every day. And so that's, that's not necessarily like a monetary goal, but it's something that we still need to organize to get to.
Yeah. I love those client stories. I have a client I've been working with for a little over a year, and we spent a year, and she was so engaged, and we just put all these processes in place, and she like really worked herself out of a role and moved up a staff member to be an operations director. And I remember, a month ago we had met, she just come back from this vacation. She was like, I don't like really have a job for myself. And it was like, okay, what next? Like, what do you want to do? And now she's got all this space to creatively think about where she wants to take the studio, and all these like classes and series that she's been thinking on but hasn't had time for. And that's so fun to watch. And it's like, yeah, you did it. I love this.
It's the best. It really is. Because you kind of, especially when it's your business, it's like you get it can feel very purpose driven, and just kind of like you can get consumed by it if you're not careful, and like not in a fun way. Yeah. So even just those little life things, like wanting to spend more time with family, wanting to travel, like just take a Friday off. Yeah. Like read a book, take a nap. Yeah. That's what I want for my clients.
I know, man. Yes, all of them. And you come back so refreshed, and you're like, man, I didn't actually hate my studio. I just needed like a week off, and now I am ready to go, everybody.
Exactly.
Like, I love it. Okay. Well, now we talked about the things that top studios are doing. What about what they're not doing? Where are we going there?
What pops into my head, because Matt and I did an episode, is around pricing, actually. And I don't know if I would call it, maybe fear-based pricing is the right word, but it's more of just like pricing without all the information, or pricing based on what somebody else is doing, and not actually digging into your own data.
Yeah. And I think that's where it's like, it's so easy to compare to other studios, but what is your unique selling proposition? What is your mission, vision, and values? Because you're probably offering a different experience, and chances are you're trying to continually enhance that experience, and that's worth something, I think. Yeah. And I think something else, we see the like fear-based pricing, that fear of, I'm not going to make payroll, or I'm not going to make rent, so I'm going to run a flash sale and everything is 75% off. And it's like, that's happening every month. And this is where we need strategy. Let's like take a keen eye on the client journey. Let's track things. Let's just make sure the foundational processes in the studio are really strong, so that we don't have to operate from this place of fear.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Just bopping from like sale to sale, or campaign, or discount. It's like, well, what are we actually even doing? If it's always on sale, or gosh, I just, I had a retreat a while back, and a couple people essentially, like, because of their positioning, they attended for free. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that the people that attended for free didn't quite get into the experience as much, because I was essentially giving it away, and I was like, yeah, I will never do this again. But it's like those decisions where, I wanted more bodies there, but at what cost, really?
Right. Yeah. And I think it's like, this is where, if you're finding that you aren't getting the people who are gravitating towards your pricing or your studio, it might be time to look at refreshing your client avatar and who you're speaking to, and are the ways you're marketing and speaking to them in the client journey really capturing that audience? Because I think there's an audience out there for any of our studios. We just have to really tap into them creatively. Let's see. I think also something else, we've talked about a lot of the things that top studios are doing, and then we've kind of hit on the converse, but I think that like hiring without onboarding, that full experience, can really play into just a lack of cohesiveness at the studio. And so I think, again, like really diving into your onboarding, making sure you have a cohesive team that is excited to be there every day, because that energy comes across is really key.
Yeah, I think between onboarding staff and onboarding new members, it's such you can feel the chaos in the studio when that doesn't happen. You really can. If people are unclear on roles, responsibilities, expectations, coming on time, not I have to remember I've got to set up the room and turn on the music and welcome people. So just like making sure that onboarding process, again, like these are the things, this is a checklist that you cannot leave the studio until it is complete, can really make or break. It just causes more work for you if you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and one more I just thought of is just continuing to offer and add more services without checking profit or like really dialing in the journey behind that. You're just like, cold plunge, it's hot, let's buy one, let's put it in. And maybe it doesn't make sense. I think I've seen a lot of that. And it's like, let's do one thing really, really well and get known for that. And then look at what are our people using? Like, where are they going? Can we educationally and like informatively weave in another service that makes sense financially and with our clientele? So key.
Oh my gosh. That's also where I run into like kind of experimenting in that space. So like the pricing, the product, do people want it? Putting out kind of like feelers on between Meta and Google, like who's actually interested in this, and then letting it run, because it's really easy in this industry to just trend hop. And you will trend hop forever because there's always going to be like, remember the shake weight? That was the future.
Man, yeah. There's not that many like shake weight studios around right now, are there?
That was the future. I even think of like the Peloton boom during COVID, and everyone was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And now there's a big pullback. Yeah. So being really, really strategic, be willing to experiment, or even just tell people, hey, this is a temporary service. You're going to see this class on here for the next 60 days. We just want to see, just be transparent. Like, we're just kind of testing out some new services to see what people might like.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love it. I feel like we covered a lot. And I feel like what we came to at the end of this is like the top studios aren't doing anything crazy and wild that costs a ton of money or has this wild team. It's just little things that we can implement, and we can start small. And really, I think step one is just tracking, seeing what's working, what's not working, and making those subtle mindset shifts. It doesn't have to be this crazy overhaul of your studio.
Yeah. I like kind of put like scaling it way down to start. Like, okay, what are like my hourly tasks, my daily tasks, my weekly, and kind of build up from there, and things like, and then what can I offset to somebody else, and what can I wait till next quarter, and just being remain calm.
Yep. Do some yoga, do your modalities.
Yes, do your breath work.
Yes. I love it. Well, awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. If you're watching us, make sure to like, subscribe, share this podcast with somebody who could use it. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of your studios turn into top studios.